Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's episode, we are going to take a look at the top 10 best worker placement game of all times. Obviously, this is up to me. This is in 2025, and so things may change later on down the road, and you may have a strong disagreement. If it's so, please write in a comment below. Worker placement is that kind of genre where players have tokens that they can deploy most of the time on the main board to do actions. And from that action, you can strategize, you can develop your own strategies. It's a mechanics that I enjoy. Probably is not my favorite just because, it's difficult to innovate. As a matter of fact, these top 10 games are games that I found extremely innovative for one reason or another. And as I said, if you disagree, please write a comment down below and we can have a nice discussion. At number 10, we have a game that is really good for family. And that's why I think is that among the top 10 best worker placement games of all times, because it introduced this concept to family members. So it has a very family look that can appeal to young kids and can appeal to adults. And this is First Rat. In First Rat, you represent rats that trying to build a rocket ship to get to the moon as soon as possible. It is also a racing game to some extent. And so the work and placement part is done on the board where you can deploy your rat to a number of spaces, and then you activate the location that gives you some resources to allow you to move in other tracks. So the mechanics are very, very simple. You have limited to I think 1 or 3 spaces, or 1 to 5 if you move only one of the rats that you have, and you can select essentially through these spaces anything you want. Depending on where your light bulb is, you can have a multiplier for resources. You can collect pieces to build your spaceship, which essentially is moving other tokens on the track. Very, very simple, very, very fun, but so easy, and so the theme is so well engaging that really it's an excellent introductory worker placement game. And this is First Rat. And number 2, we have another introductory level worker placement game, and I place it at number 9 more than First Rat because I think it is a little bit more advanced as a mechanic, but still an introductory worker placement. It is very clean, it is very pure, and this is Age of Hunting. This worker placement game, you have workers that are hunting animals, and so you are prehistorical humans trying to survive in the wild. So you're trying to expand your tribe, settle your village, explore new locations, and also gather food for yourself. The core mechanics is getting resources to convert those resources into bonuses, unlock location on your board so your board can be upgraded. What I like is the interaction that you have. When you send your workers on a specific location to gather resources, the big workers is the one that will give you resources. If you want, you can deploy it together with the other smaller hunters that will move or the location where the big worker will be allocated. And on top of that, will give you all the resources that you have occupied. But when the next player comes to the same location, it pushes you and advances you. And when you recall your worker, you gather resources where your worker is located. So there's this interesting interaction where you deploy the worker, it gets pushed down the road, which it gets better resources from the opponents, and so you don't know when you want to withdraw, how long you want to wait to have the big worker withdrawn and get back to you for a new action. The rest is very standard, so that's why I think it's a little bit more complicated, because you have that kind of interaction strategy or tactics where you place your big hunter with smaller one, how long you're gonna wait, and there's a little bit of upgrade of the board that makes the game a little bit more challenging. The artwork is fantastic. It's a little bit difficult to find the game itself, but definitely if you can, check that out. Age of Hunting. At number 8, we have an excellent game. It's probably one of my favorite games of all times. It's only number 8 because I don't think it's a true worker placement game. It's a worker placement game, but feed or supported by a very nice deck building mechanics. And this is Dune Imperium Uprising. I'm not very familiar with the IP, and that tells you how, to me, it's not really the theme that brings me to the game, but the game itself. In the game, you have workers that you can deploy through playing the cards of your hands and using the resources that those cards allow you to do. You can go around the board collecting resources, deploying a new worker, or deploying warriors to have a battle. It also a race to 10 points, which I found very interesting. And then you have the deck building element where after you do all your action, you can spend some credits to acquire better cards and put it back in your deck, and you shuffle it, and so your deck gets better and better. Excellent game. I fall in love with from the first time I play, and I know there are two versions. One is Dune Imperium, one is Dune Imperium Uprising. Definitely is the Uprising that you want to find, number 8. In the same year that Dune Imperium came out, there's another worker placement game that is a higher in the list, although I like a little bit less just because the worker placement mechanics is a little bit stronger. And this is Lost Ruins of Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak, you are explorers through Valley of Temples in the jungle, where yes, you find temples, you find ruins, you find artifacts, but you also find monsters. You have also a deck that feeds you the action that you can take. Although people describe it as a deck building action, I think the deck building aspect of this game, it's very minor component. Actually, you don't want to focus too much on the deck building aspect, because then you're gonna dilute the good action that you want to do too much, and so you may end up not be able to do what you want to do. There's lots of very Euro style game. You have tracks, up to the tracks, and technology tracks that you need to unlock and achieve new goals. There's an exploration where you can find monsters as well, and it will guide your points. So anything you do, you have also points. There are special abilities to give some asymmetry. Very entertaining game. Definitely something that I would not play at a bigger player count. What, for example, Dune Imperium would do. Definitely a 4-player game. Arnax, I think I would not go over 3 players, and this is my number 7. At number 6, we have a whimsical worker placement game, and this is Last Wheel. Last Wheel, you are a fortunate guy who received a huge fortune from a dead uncle. But your dead uncle asks you only one thing: you can get all his money as long as you squander them all. What you do, you select the type of action that you want to do. If you want to go and pick up cards, if you want to send your errand buying a property or selling a property, or gather cards. When you gather and play cards, that could be, for example, inviting a horse to a fancy dinner, or book a very fancy hotel and don't show up. Then you try to buy the most expensive house and wait that the house price drops, or the house gets ruined so you can sell it to a loss. The theme is very whimsical. The mechanics is very smooth. Everything is very easy and straightforward. It plays in about 60 to 90 minutes and always brings a smile to everyone. And this is number 6. Last Wheel. At number 5, we have a game that, yes, it's a worker placement game, but also a tableau building. And this is Everdell. In Everdell, you are a little creature on the woods, try to build your own village. And also this game is a racing game. You're racing for 10 cards on your tableau, I think 10 or 15, I don't remember. And what you do, you're doing your phase, you deploy a worker in a location on the board, you gather resources, and you can use those resources to play cards from your hand. And from the cards of your hand, you can do stuff, sometimes play more cards, sometimes play more resources. And so it also, what I like about this game is how to maximize everything with the least number of turns. Because when you place all the works that you have, you need to go to the next season. And so the better you can optimize the resources that you gather, and with the cards that you have in your hands, you make have your turn or your season longer, allow you to score potentially more points and do more stuff. And so what also I like is this, all the tempo of all the players is different. Some players finish the first season sooner than others, then the others catch up later because of, they want to really speed up, pick up a specific location that they really want, a specific card they really want. So I really like this dynamic. I know that there is a new version, Far Shore, I think, which solves the problem of the initial or the original Everdell. Everdell has a huge deck of cards, and some cards are very well, they work very well together. The problem is that there are not many copies for the cards. The deck is very big, so you may have something that it might be very powerful pair with some other card, and you wait for that card, it will never show up. Farshore solved that problem. Rather than having one specific card, you have a type of cards that are they work together very well. Anyway, I have not played that one, but I can tell you that Everdale, how it is, a basic game, is an excellent one. My number 5. My number 4, we have a game that I guess the worker placement is not very strong, and it probably should be lower in this list, but I'm extremely biased towards this game because of the theme, because of what's going on, and this is Dinosaur Island. In Dinosaur Island, the worker placement game is really phase 1, where you select what kind of resources you wanted, what kind of dinosaur you wanted. That's it. Well, no, actually, there are 2 phases. In the Dinosaur Island, there are actually 2 worker placement phases. One is the initial one, the phase 1, where you assign your scientists to gather DNA, gather dinosaur, or having more workers later on in the third phase. Then you have a market phase that you use money to upgrade your park. And finally, in the third phase, you have another worker placement phase where you develop your park. Dinosaur Island is essentially Jurassic Park, the board game. And so you develop your dino park, you create new dinosaur, you increase your security, because if your security is too low, dinosaur may escape and eat your patrons. And finally, in the fourth and last phase, you draw patrons that will go into your park, enjoy the rides, give you victory points and money. Very whimsical game. Now I think there is ultra hyper deluxe version with magnets that is coming up, straight up rules of balancing. I don't know if I have ever seen an unbalanced game. It's some dinosaurs are really wacky, especially in the liquid expansion, so where you have the marine dinosaurs. I don't care. I'm there for the enjoying the ride, not for the balancing act. So it's an excellent game. I love it. Number 4, Dinosaur Island. And number 3, we have a very nice worker placement game that combines fighting, be a Viking and fighting and losing other villages, and then the classic worker placement part, which is gather resources to do other stuff. And this is Raiders of the North Sea. In Raiders of the North Sea, there's an interesting hook. You have a very low number of workers, and you place them on a communal board, and you get whatever action that usually is resources or deploying new crew members, which allow you to loot villages and pillage villages and get resources and get bonus and points eventually. But also the cool thing is when you can recall a worker, and when you recall a worker, you can also have benefit from the location that you're recalling it. You can upgrade workers, becomes better. So this is all very nice, and there's also the theme of, the Viking, the fighting. So I really enjoy it. It's very simple to teach and very fast to play. Beautiful artwork. And this is number 3, Raiders of the North Sea. And number 2, we have a game that by looking at the cover is not very appealing, but I can tell you, oh boy, this is a good worker placement game. And this Whistle Mountain, you have 3 aircrafts. One is the air balloon, one is the and this. I don't remember the name, sorry. And these are, based on this size, they give you a specific number of resources. You place on a communal board where made of tiles, Tetris style, that you can expand and collaborate with other players to develop throughout the game. And depending of which aircraft you use, you can have more resources based on the adjacency, that you can create machinery that you put on top of these scaffolds, and you put your aircraft on top, and you can get other resources around the board. You have lots of locations. It really is like a point salad game. Anything you do brings you points, which is very rewarding. It's very satisfying creating this puzzle, this race towards some reward that you have around the board. And there's also time mechanics, very interesting, that there's kind of water rising, and at some point when the water rises too much, that's the end of the game. If you have not heard of it, it's not too difficult to find. This is Whistle Mountain, and my number 2. And my number 1, we have a game that has struck me by the look, and everything in this game sings to me. It sings because of the combo that you have, because of the look, because of the theme, and this area. In Arborea, you have your planet has been catastrophically destroyed, and now you need to rebuild, especially the fauna. And you do that by trying to attract creatures into your biomes and then put them there and create the best biome. Also, you have some sort of praying or offering to the gods that will give you more resources. The key mechanics here that you have different workers. First of all, there are the young, the elders, the regular workers, I think, and based on there already you have some special abilities. On top of that, you send them to some path. These paths are represented by a straight line, and you place it on top of the path. And the more you wait for your turn and the opponent's turn, this path is going to move. So your worker starts at the beginning and then slowly is going to move forward, indicating like the worker or your villager is exploring, looking for those animals on the wild. And whenever you want, you can decide to unload your worker from the path and then going down or up the path and cascading a sequence of action and rewards throughout the game. So there is this time mechanics, very interesting when you want to deploy, because there is also a race in terms of which animal to capture before the opponent. The more animals you capture, the sooner the game is going to end. And then it's another interesting aspect that when you got the resources, these resources or the resources they accumulate get into a share pool. And at the end of your turn, you can decide whether to spend those resources to build cards or acquire animals, which gives you points. Do not use those resources and score points. And if you do that, those resources will be left on the board and someone else can utilize them. So it's a really interesting decision there. Do you want to use them to open the cards, which is good, but definitely if you leave them on the board, I will give you even more points. So that's very interesting, very interactive, and I really like interactive game. That's why this is my number one. Is a excellent worker placement game. There's excellent interaction without being too mean, but actually it's a positive interaction because I get the resources for you. I leave it there on the board, but I get rewarded with lots of points. And if you use them, you don't get rewarded with points. So it's very, very nice. This is my number one. And what are your favorite worker placement game? Which one should have been in the list? Which one should have not been? Please let me comment. Please let me know in the comment below. And if you made it so far, I want to thank you. And please subscribe, click the bell, like this video, share with your friends. You know the drill. This is not your first YouTube video, am I right? Thank you very much and see you next time. Ciao.